Welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter but not the spirit of a request. And 3 amazing stories we have today. So subscribe, hit the like button, and here we go. The first story is, owner says, yeah, you've been saying that for years and nothing bad has happened. A Sparky's Tale. 10 plus years ago, rural Australia. This tale takes place on a big, very profitable fruit farm. Over 100,000 trees of my favorite fruit. It's about the moment I deliberately caused the most monetary damage of my electrical career. If that has your interest, read the story. I think it's funny and instructive. It may even save your life one day. I'm also pretty sure you won't get the bad feels. I want to tell this as it happened, in rural Australia. It'll contain Aussie lingo, strayin, and semi-technical info about water production. I tried to keep it all relevant. It also has a few numbers. Very fine, lovely numbers. I'll try to explain and put things into context. If you don't like numbers in context or Aussie lingo, sorry, but we probably shouldn't go to the pub together. Background. After 2 years of planning, digging, inevitable plan revision, lots of pipe work, and much work by many people, this project was about finished. We'd already run the bore to an open head, flushing the column of drilling remains. We'd ticked off some of the electrical checklist, and were finally ready to water the trees. What's all this now? A bore is a water well. It's used for bringing the underground water to the above ground. You can use a bore for crop irrigation or drinking water for livestock and people. Or, I'm sure you get what a bore is. If you want to make a bore, find an aquifer, underground water, then drill a hole, column, then get a pump, motor, pipe, power, shove all that down the hole, now you have a bore. Because this is Australia, bore can refer to the whole show or just the pump and motor. Everything above is simplified, of course. Some stuff, like soft starters, pressure switches, standing water levels, head pressure, has been omitted because story. The whole process is fascinating and complex. Look into it. Or make friends with a water engineer. Engineers are awesome. The main cast, 16-inch bore, had 16-inch, 40-centimeter diameter, heavy-duty lay-flat hose, pipe connected. From memory, Danish 220 kilowatt over 295 horsepower motor. 3-phase 415 volts, 300 amps. Kilowatts in horsepower, literally 295 actual draft horses worth of power. Horses are things my ex loved more than me. The stainless steel motor and pump connected were about 6 meters or 19 feet long and could pump out 120 ls, 32 gallons per second. 120 ls is the magic in this tale. 16-inch diameter of water comes out at 120 liters per second. If my maths are correct, you could fill an Olympic pool in about 5.5 hours, or a 6-person spa in about 7 seconds. Big water. 220 kilowatts is a decent-sized motor. Let me illustrate. On another farm, we had a similar motor. It dramatically faulted one day, and the fault current started an auxiliary generator at the local power station. We never knew the actual fault current. The readout only had 3 digits and read 999 amps. The individual power cables to the bore were about an inch thick each and broke lots of zip ties when they jumped in the tray. Enough to say big power. Owner in this story is his first/Christian name. He was a great older guy. Smart, hardworking, caring, generous. He had a flaw though. Sometimes he'd listen, but mostly he kinda knew everything. He was also a top-notch older larrikin, fun-loving, mischief-making maverick. Great bloke and seriously wealthy. He also gave us fruit. Bloke, usually a male, usually a good person. For example, Jono is a good bloke. Larrikin, not used much anymore today. Well-meaning larrikins are loved in Australia. Everyone should have a larrikin mate. For example, Davo, yeah, he's a dead-set larrikin mate. Mate, everyone can be a mate regardless of gender or age. Also, tools can be a best mate. A tree can be a mate. Anything, really. Dogs are most definitely mates. Cats are cats. When you're inebriated, mate is pronounced mate. Mate. Me, electrician. I'd been working at this farm for a few years at this point. My company even longer. We maintained everything, including the large automated sorting and packing plant. We, got along well with everyone. I installed things, fixed stuff, and ate fruit. Ensemble actors, farm manager, leading hand, 3 farm hands, 1 other Sparky, 2 apprentices, including Scotty. All set? New big bore, group of sweaty blokes, big water, big power, larrikin owner. Story. It had been a long, hot, humid job, getting this bore and its power and controls in and connected. The bore went 50 meters, 164 feet down the hole. A big crane put it in. All stages of the build were triple-checked at every point. This is simplified. To add the rest would take up space and not be relevant. Non-relevant stuff like spanners hitting knuckles, swearing and cussing, Scotty getting meggered, wasps, major swearing, Scotty almost crimping my hand, Scotty getting meggered again. Look up 1000-volt analog insulation resistance meter later. Don't worry, all apprentices cop this at some point. Scotty is fine and was an excellent apprentice. This scene. The bore is connected to the above-ground main irrigation pipework, about 1 meter or 3 feet off the ground. The 9 of us are standing in the designated safety area near the big control cabinet, about 7 meters or 23 feet away. Owner pulls up in his farm toy. His words, not mine. A shiny 4-wheel drive wagon, engine running, lowers the driver's side window and says, Owner, excitedly, "How's it going, fellas?" He's parked on the other side of the bore from us, about 3 meters or 10 feet away from it. On a gentle slope coming off the bore's concrete pad. On a big wide line of big rocks and gravel tamped down on the ground. This line of rock and gravel extends to about 50 meters, 164 feet from the bore pad. This is the absolute capital W worst place to stand or park at a bore, let alone a bore this size. I told Owner to never stand there at a bore a number of times over the years. I've told Scotty to never stand there too. Scotty followed directions. He's aces. Some readers have already guessed what's going to happen. If you lived on a farm or worked with this gear, you know the star of the show is yet to be introduced. Me, friendly. Owner, we've been through this. That's the worst place to park. Can you move down the road where the other vehicles are, please? Owner shuts off the car, gets out, closes the door, and walks the 3 meters to the bore. The window is still down. He's standing right in front of the star of the show when he says, Owner, all larrikin-y. Yeah, you've been saying that for years and nothing bad has happened. Me, now very serious. Jesus, don't stand there. Get over here. Remember when you wanted more water? Give me more water? You know this is double any of the other bores. That car is going to cop it and I get cut off by Owner. Owner, walking over to us, friendly mocking tone. Yeah, you keep saying that. Anyway, are we ready? He goes to raise his arms. I stop him. He likes to get all dramatic when a big machine is turned on. He's really a top bloke. Me, not yet. I can't turn the bore on with your car there, Owner. Owner, full-on friendly mocking mode. Sparky afraid of a little water? Want me to push the button? Then kinda just bored-like. Just push the button already. Farm manager is having no part of this. He keeps his mouth shut. He's clever and is also aces. I turn to the group. Me. Can we all agree that I tried? I get nods and yeahs and yeps and uh-huh. Scotty doesn't know. He's never seen anything like what's about to happen. He just dutifully says yes. Okay, I may have named him Scotty just for this moment. Here we are, dear reader. This is the exact moment. I'm thinking Owner needs to see this. He really needs to see what the star of the show can do. It's the only way I can keep him from being killed by it. It has to sink deep into his head. I knowingly put my finger on the green button. From where we're all standing, we can clearly see the bore, the shiny, fully optioned $110,000 late 2000 6-month-old Toyota Sahara. I ask the other Sparky to watch the control panel. Me to Owner. Now, dear reader, please let me introduce the star of the show. Pressure release valve. From here on, valve. Valve is about 1 foot tall, made of brass, and is the bore's little brother. He's fitted into the above-ground main steel pipework. Valve's mouth is pointed right at Owner's car. He's there to vent air, but Valve also vents water. Because, among other reasons, as an irrigation line fills, at some point it can or will go over pressure before it stabilizes. If the water goes over pressure, though, it makes the water angry enough to hurt the line and/or the expensive gear. Valve lets the angry water out and looks after his brother. Remember the numbers and the maths? That was all for water going out an open 16-inch hole. Valve's mouth was 4 inches or 10 centimeters aperture, hole. This would be like turning your garden hose on, then putting your finger over the end to spray your kids. We're all on the same page now. This should be fun, right? Let's see what Valve does. Larrick in compliance. Me to Owner. Now. Owner raises his arms on high and yells, "Give me water!" He really did this. I push the green button. The control cabinet lets the electrons flow in an orderly fashion. No smoke. Valve whistles his tune for a while as the air comes out. Then the water starts. It gurgles and splutters for a while. Once the air is gone, it's just water. And it doesn't take Valve long for the water to be a 4-inch dead straight column. Going right through the open window and absolutely pounding into the passenger window. Under these conditions, when Valve has nothing in the way, he can ignore gravity for a while and make a solid 4-inch column of water go dead straight for about 5 meters or 16 feet before it starts to curve. See? Valve is awesome. Valve gave Owner's car the good news for about 5 minutes. The rearview mirror tried to escape about the same time the engine stopped. It flew out the window, but Valve had a strong volley game. As the line stabilized and the pressure dropped, valves started to close. Valve's water left the now shinier car, making a nice decreasing arc across the rocks, then stopped. Aussie swearing here. From the group, I heard 2F me's, 3 effing hex, 1 F my brown dog, and a holy snapping duck sh. Scotty, almost reverently. Wow. Owner, quietly with amazement. Bugger me. Aftermath. Owner wrote the car off. The assessor asked if it had rolled into a dam. Owner said he learned a valuable lesson. He now parks his toys 20 meters or 65 feet away. Owner now has great respect for Valve. Me, we took home lots of mangoes, and I got to tell you the tale. Scotty? Scotty grew into a capital T tradesman. We're still friends. Valve did his job for years to come. Every time I went to that boar, I gave him a pat. He was a good Valve. The second story is, dealt with a lying landlord by threatening to run up their bills. I had a landlord in the past who slipped a 90-day notice requirement into the rental contract after I had signed it. I was house hunting, so at the end of my lease I asked to go to a month-to-month lease to make it easier to leave when the time came. Landlord and I agreed on a higher monthly price to compensate them for the lack of security, and I signed the contract at the office of a business they also owned downstairs. Landlord wasn't actually present, but one of their employees handled it. So contract is signed, and they go to make me a copy for my records, but are having an issue with the copier. After a few minutes, they ask if they can text me when they get it to work. I naively agree and head upstairs. 30 minutes or so later, they text me saying they got the copier to work, and I come pick up my copy. I didn't think to double-check everything at the time. So for the next few months, I just pay my monthly rent while I look for a home. Finally found the right place, and the closing date was about 4 weeks out, so I immediately notified my landlord that I would be leaving on said date. Landlord responds that it's nice I found a home, but I would be responsible for the next 2 months' rent after that as well, due to the 90-day notification requirement in the contract. I'm totally confused, so I go check my copy of the contract, and sure enough, there's a stipulation in there about that. I also noticed that my initials from the top and bottom of each page, verifying that I've read that page, have somehow mysteriously shifted to being doubled up at the top of the page after this stipulation, with none on the bottom of that actual page. This was because they had inserted 2 lines of text, detailing the 90-day reporting requirement, after I had already signed the paperwork. They didn't notice the formatting error it created, which was a dead giveaway of what was going on. I inform the landlord of this, and notify him that this is not a legally binding contract due to this issue, and state that I will not be paying any further rent beyond this month, and expect my deposit back without penalty. Unfortunately, he persists with stating that this is a legally binding contract, and he will pursue it in court, in addition to withholding my deposit if I fail to pay. Blah blah blah. I know I'm legally in the right, but I don't want to have to deal with courts to settle it, as that takes forever, so I come up with an alternative plan. The one thing he hadn't thought about was the fact that the contract included all utilities, as the unit didn't have separate meters and did not have any language forbidding excessive use of them. It just so happened to be a particularly cold winter, so I informed my landlord that if he wanted to persist with his demands, I would be inclined to leave all of the windows open, crank the heat as high as it would go, open the refrigerator door, run the water 24/7, etc. And if he entered the apartment without my permission to turn any of these items off, I would report him to the police. I got confirmation that he would not pursue the extra month's rent or security deposit within 20 minutes. And the last story is, my boss told me to get a haircut. I, 18 female, came into work about a week ago, and my boss's boss was there. I work in the food service industry. My hair wasn't very long at all, barely to my collar, and I couldn't put it in a ponytail yet. But my boss's boss informed me that because my hair reached the collar of my shirt, I had to either cut it or put it up, which it wasn't long enough to do. It also didn't help that it was layered. For the record, I'd been trying to grow out my hair since a severe head injury caused me to have to get a large portion of my head shaved in January 2019, so being told I had to cut it made me really upset. I made an appointment with my hairdresser, but rather than a warning, I received a write-up. 3 and I'm fired. I got a second today when he came back in, and I hadn't gotten a haircut yet because my hairdresser couldn't get me in on short notice. So I got peeved. I stewed about it all day and decided that the best route would be to get a haircut after work. And I did. I got a mohawk. What's a mohawk, you may ask? A hybrid between a mohawk and a mullet. Pink and green Lord Farquaad bangs, stiletto sideburns, shaved sides, naturally, and a spiky mohawk ending with a lovely little extended mullet on the bottom that I can tie into a Jedi braid if my boss's boss really wants. It meets dress code now, but it's the ugliest GD haircut on the planet. I'll be sure to update tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.